Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching this in the world. I hope you guys are doing okay. Now guys, I'm telling you, you are going to want to stick around for this one. This article is one of the dumbest things I've ever read in my life, and I think we can all agree on that, although it will be interesting to see who doesn't think it's stupid. But before we get there, I just want to announce that by way of my Instant Gaming sponsorship, we do have our first month's winner. The winner of the August raffle is an individual called Aslatiel32, and they won a copy of Guilty Gear Strive, a free copy of Guilty Gear Strive. So we are running the raffle again this month. Make sure you participate by clicking on the link in my description. It's completely free and you might win yourself a free game. It could be a game like Black Myth Wukong or Tekken or whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be of a particular value. So thank you to everyone that participated. Unlucky to those that didn't win. Congratulations to Aslastiel. I don't know if I'm saying your name right. I'm so sorry. And without further ado, let's get on with the video. So in my time on the internet, I've read some stupid things. Things that make you scratch your head and wonder what the person was smoking when they came up with such hogwash. And today I may have read possibly the dumbest set of story suggestions for Tekken 9. Yes, Tekken 9, you heard that correctly, that I've ever heard in my life. Firstly, shout outs to UK UA on Twitter for bringing this to my attention, but also damn you UK for causing me severe brain rot. But because I have been caused severe brain rot, I'm going to have to do it back to you guys. The article coming from Rant is titled Tekken 9 may need to pull a Mortal Kombat 1, and you're already like, what do you mean pull a Mortal Kombat 1? Why would any game want to pull a Mortal Kombat 1? The most shambolic of pulls, especially when Tekken is up right now and Mortal Kombat is down. This should be very interesting to read. It starts with Tekken 8 has become one of the most wildly popular fighting games since its release in January 2024. The reveal trailer for Heihachi Mishima as the next DLC has many fans excited and looking forward to what else is in store for the game. However, the character has some wondering where the franchise could go, especially in how the next entry in the mainline entry will follow up what has come before it. This leads some to believe that the next Tekken game could benefit from borrowing an idea from Mortal Kombat 1 pulled off. Now I know we haven't always agreed, I haven't always agreed with other content creators on this, and whilst we may not see eye to eye on the direction of Tekken's story now that Heihachi has returned from the dead, I think we can all agree that Tekken will not benefit anything from Mortal Kombat 1 related, since Mortal Kombat 1 pretty much failed to pull anything off effectively. The story of Tekken 8 and all the games before it can be seen as entertaining but also absurd in how far it has come. Leading up to the important events, essential figures such as Kazuya and Heihachi were seen to have been killed, only to be reintroduced into the plot later on. This makes the concept of death in the franchise feel weak, and makes the future stories feel stale, as it means the Mishimas will always be the central focus. However, the next game could prevent this by following Mortal Kombat 1's move of resetting the in-game timeline and changing past relationships and key events. Now, I know what you were all thinking before those last couple of lines. Yeah, Tekken's story and events feel lessened because the Mishimas won't stay dead, and even though I completely disagree with that sentiment myself, I can at least see where you're coming from. However, where I can bet everything in my bank account right now that we do completely agree is that saying Tekken would benefit from a timeline reset has got to be some of the most diabolical words ever uttered in a sentence. I think even the detractors of the current Mishima story would agree they'd rather have things as they are with another 10 Mishima deaths than go down this stupid road. I don't know how these people get their starts on these websites, but if this isn't proof that video game journalism is well and truly dead, I don't know what is. Mortal Kombat 1's new timeline and character origin rework were due to the previous game's ending where Raiden turned Liu Kang into a god and tasked him to restart and rewrite history. This aligns with the franchise's mystical and sometimes outrageous plotline elements, allowing its fans to accept what has happened. When Tekken 9 ever comes out and decides to follow in Mortal Kombat 1's shoes, the game will require a decent explanation of why things have changed. No, Tekken 9 is not going to follow in Mortal Kombat 1's footsteps, because Harada, for as much as some people may not agree with his creative decisions on some things, Harada has active brain cells. His brain cells are actively functioning. Not in a million years would Harada and the Tekken team do something so outrageously stupid as to create a second timeline after spending years of building us up with these characters. Dead or not, the timeline has been consistent, and that has landed Tekken in the Guinness Book of Records for the longest ongoing story storyline in a video game without any kind of reboot? Why would Harada throw all of that away? Not only would we disassociate with the characters we've come to know and love because it wouldn't be the old ones anymore, but the numbskulls at NRS have already done this twice and it hasn't worked either time. You see, the problem with NRS is that they are creatively bankrupt. The writers there, in my opinion, do not know how to tell a compelling self-contained story, and so they always opt for a large-scale apocalyptic event to shock people. It gives you that shock factor, but when the dust settles, all you're left wondering is what the hell happens next, and did we really need to go that far? And the answer is usually no. It's usually no by a fan standards, and it's usually no by NRS standards because they end up resetting the timeline themselves. Do you know how much of a cop-out it is to reset the timeline over and over again? It's like, well, we've killed everyone and half the universe is hanging out of its ass, let's just reset things. Let's reset it. I say no to that. The Tekken team can find a creative way to evolve the Mishima saga whilst propping up side characters to not only keep us investing in people we've been following since 1994, but to maintain their standing in the Guinness Book of Records. Why give up that record for something so stupid? And in case anyone's thinking that's easier said than done, Mike, why don't you try evolve the story yourself? Already did that in like 4 videos, this being the latest one. It's a shambolic idea from Game Rant. I will never get behind it. Here are a few ways it can do that. The unseen extraterrestrials responsible for Tekken 3's Ogre can finally make an appearance and tie themselves to the plot, where their powers involve time-changing abilities. Kazuya's hunger for world domination can be taken a step further, with his wanting to control other worlds forcing him to develop a way to travel to them. The origin of the devil gene, which could be Azazel or another entity entirely, could succeed in destroying the world and forcing survivors to find a way to restart history. Let's go through these one at a time because each idea is so stupid you could probably give it its own video. Using Ogre, the fighting god, as a means of using time-changing abilities is one of the most clownish things I've ever heard. Whilst Ogre is an alien, the emphasis has always been on him seeking out the strongest fighters. With the introduction of Reiner's new devil form and the return of Heihachi, why would he mess with the timeline if he has strong people to fight? What benefit will it give him to reset the timeline or walk through dimensions? I know we've got devils, fighting animals and robots in this game, but there's levels to the stupidity that I'm willing to take, and I don't think the Tekken team will stoop so low and start bending time or manipulating time to try and fix the story. Kazuya's hunger for world domination should remain world domination. He's Kazuya Mishima, not Frieza. Traveling to other worlds, like Jesus Christ, man, what the hell are they even talking about? You know, it's galaxy brains like this that they'd hire to be a writer for the next Mortal Kombat game, when all people want is a high production world martial arts tournament with dramatic set pieces and good dialogue. Walking between worlds, like, good lord, dude. What have you been reading? Like, yeah, listen to this guy if we want to tank Tekken's reputation into the ground. Don't these websites have editors? Why did nobody stop my guy from typing that up? Kazuya just lost to Jin and now Reiner's got a new devil form and his dad is also back from the dead. I think he's got bigger things to worry about than stepping into another dimension. I think Kazuya has bigger things to worry about than showing up in Hollow Bastion or some other place. The last point was the funniest. Forcing survivors to find a reset button because Azazel destroyed the planet. This is why the MCU is in the state it's in. Because of ideas like this. Yeah, the big bad devil destroyed the planet. Let's not, you know, fight him. It is a fighting game after all. Let's not stay on theme and try to fight the devil. Let's look for a way to restart the entire universe. Like, my brain hurts reading this. While there aren't exactly many routes that Tekken 9's story could go, changing the timeline could be the direction that's worth pursuing. It provides numerous possibilities to keep the franchise fresh and potentially helping it continue and become even more popular than it is today. No. You guys would tank its popularity so quickly. What can keep this franchise fresh is coming up with a new idea consistent with the current story. In this big wide world with the infinite amount of ideas that are processed through a human mind every day collectively, you think the best we can do is reset a timeline. How about just having the martial artists who live to fight figure out how they're going to overcome their next obstacle by fighting? Like, seriously, you spend your entire life trying to be the best and then you're like, I can't do this, reset all things that have ever existed. The ideas from Games Rant are not worth pursuing, not even for a second, and if NRS knows any better than what they've put out recently, they'll just figure out a way to navigate this new shambolic timeline and fix things within the story without having to completely start over again, because that shit is getting extremely annoying. Do you know how bad of a writer you have to be to continuously back yourself into a corner and say, do you know what guys, we gotta reset again? It's ridiculous. Do not send Tekken down this road. Having a timeline change means that characters who may not have prominent roles could become the new central figures, albeit with new purposes. For example, Martial Law could realize his dreams of wanting to become world famous, but in a manner that involves using his martial arts prowess and the power of his dojo students to take over the world. What in the hell did I just read? Is this a joke? Is that meant to be if it's a joke? That was excellent. I have to say that was excellent. Now, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry if there are people that don't agree with this take I'm about to give, but the Mishimas should always be front and center of the story, just like Ryu, Ken, and Akuma should always be at the forefront. You can have other characters come into the fold, but you don't take out the people that brought you to the dance. These are the characters that the series are known for. It's what keeps the masses coming back, the casuals who want to get in and get out. They'll recognize these characters. People recognize Kazuya. They recognize Jin. They recognize Heihachi. They like seeing story mode cutscenes with these characters, so just come up with creative ways to add them in. They're the most exciting. They have the most going on, and they are the main characters for a reason. Now, that's not to say that Tekken doesn't have a long way to go in showing some respect to its supporting cast and giving them worthwhile stories, but definitely don't do it by replacing your existing cash cows. No, what you do is you bring everyone up. You don't bring people down, or you don't remove people. You make everyone interesting. You give everyone meaning and purpose. Not all things need to be connected directly to the Mishimas. It's the same with the WWE. You can make loads of meaningful storylines. Not everything needs to be connected to the WWE or World Heavyweight Championship. Look at Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, for example. Look at the Judgment Day and the Terror Twins. They don't have to be connected to Gunther. They don't have to be connected to Cody Rhodes. And the characters in Tekken don't have to be connected to the Mishimas. The Mishimas are almost godlike anyway. They are almost godlike figures on Earth. They avoid death, they turn into devils, they can tank bullets, missiles, and being dunked in lava. The other martial artists don't even need to be directly involved with them, mainly because it doesn't even make sense for anybody to stand a chance against them. These other characters can have their own stories that have their own beginning, middle, and end. You already have the rumblings of rivalries that you can turn serious. Feng Wei vs Leroy, Paul vs Law. Imagine a more serious take on Lily and Asuka. Lars and Lee have a fun little rivalry. Kuma and Panda. Yeah, some of those may be more light-hearted than others, but you can work with them. You can do something with Yoshimitsu and Brian. You can take it down a dark path. You can make it more serious. They don't have to be connected to the Mishimas. You don't need to usurp what has worked and gamble. It's literally pointless. We've watched NRS do this, and they failed miserably in doing so. If not for story purposes, rewriting the timeline could mean characters having entirely new moves. Since they aren't who they once were, it would justify the different attacks and playstyles, switching things up from how people usually play. While some will not be happy with the change, it can at least intrigue them and maybe become a gateway for newcomers to get into the franchise more easily. It's like this guy knows nothing about legacy. You know, Tekken is literally built on legacy. And you know, they are martial arts. Do you need a timeline reset to have martial artists learn new moves? Isn't that the kind of thing that they do? Isn't that a martial artist thing? Ever since Bruce Lee popularized the idea of learning new styles and blending them, it's been a normal thing. Not that I need to use real world logic for a video game, but just update their movesets. Say they were seeking new challenges. Say they came up with their own styles. Say they sought out new masters. Say they mimicked people, whatever it might be. Don't reset the bloody timeline so Paul can use nunchucks and Law can death fist you. How lazy do you have to be? Like, imagine. He goes, guys, we want to evolve Yoshimitsu's playstyle. Now, he is a space ninja and he's been doing wacky stuff since forever, and his Flash once stole people's moves, but I think the only way we can do this is by butchering the timeline and starting fresh. That way, we can give Yoshimitsu an axe instead of a sword. The guy that wrote this article, Enrico Ozoa, wait a second, I just clocked. He's got the same name as my brother. That would actually explain a lot. But regardless, these are some of the worst ideas that I've ever seen for a Tekken storyline, and let us pray to the high heavens that Harada or whoever writes the Tekken story going forward never opts for a timeline reset. We simply do not need it. There are creative ways to go about moving forward. There are creative ways to evolve the characters, ways I've spoken about before in previous videos, and I'm sure ways that more intelligent people than myself can come up up with. And I'm glad to see I'm not the only one that thinks these are some of the worst ideas. People commented on their website to let them know just how bad they were, and you can imagine how it went. But before we get to the comments, this last little bit here, Tekken could pull off a Mortal Kombat reboot by going to different timeline and changing the history of its characters, but the road towards doing so could be bumpy. While it does guarantee a fresh take on the franchise, it could result in many fans not enjoying the big changes and walking away from the games entirely. He even acknowledges that he could tank the franchise and continues going. If the developers decide to go with that route, they will have to do so in a way that will retain and improve the balanced gameplay while having an intriguing story to tell, also that its fans remain happy and satisfied. This guy will destroy Tekken. Never let him near anywhere near the books or the narrative pieces or anything. Keep him far away, and anybody that agrees with him. Now let's get to some of the comments. You've got Pucking here saying a few things. First is that Mortal Kombat 1 is the worst of the major fighting franchises right now, behind Tekken and Street Fighter. Secondly, the game is a year old. It's got another 6 years of support probably. You're a joke for talking Tekken 9 already. Jay, no they don't, and Harada has already said he would not do this. MK1 is a disaster because of this, and the main reason they did it was to make the game woke by having an excuse to do race and gender swaps. Anubis, not a good idea considering that the strength of the franchise relies on the legacy knowledge it brings from the past. Hard pass. Atlas, no more fighting game reboots. Mortal Kombat 1 proved that a reset was a bad idea. Mario, time travel no dude. First of all, the original creator and Harada planned for the Mishimas to be centered piece and central protagonist of the Tekken world, meaning no Mishimas mean no Tekken overall. Also, Kazuya, since was the original protagonist and his son and father both have gotten a redemption story, making Kazuya evil again wouldn't make sense since Jun is back physically. Kazuya is the only Mishima who still didn't receive a revelation yet, and also he has bigger issues that focus not just on Heihachi's resurrection, which is connected of what the Mishimas truly are, and Jinpachi's resurrection. I don't know about Jinpachi's resurrection, bro, don't get me gassed. But he also have the Hajijos, his mother's maternal side, lurking in the shadows, waiting for them to be eliminated. Kazuya is the centerpiece character that connects to all conflict, unlike Destined One's son. It's a pretty good take, and I didn't even consider all of that. Kazuya really is the one that connects all the pieces here. And lastly, we've got Yue saying, I don't know if you've been playing Mortal Kombat, but you of all people should know that rebooting was a bad idea and that Mortal Kombat 1 is the worst Mortal Kombat narratively, butchered characters with over decades of lore, namely Hanzo Hasashi, Kuai Lang, Cyrax, Sectora, Raiden, especially Hanzo. Yes, I completely agree. Now personally, I'm excited to see where the Tekken story goes. I think there's a lot of things that they can do with it. I'm very excited to see what comes of this new version of Heihachi. Is he going to be villainous? Is he going to be more heroic? What is Jin going to do now that he's defeated Kazuya? Jun showed up right at the end of the game. What is she going to do? It's very interesting. There are loads of avenues for Tekken to go down. You have got to be some sort of numbskull or lacking in brain cells to think that you can do anything else but reset the timeline. There's got to be better options than that, and there are better options, and more creative people than Enrico here, or the people that think that a timeline reset is something Tekken should do, will come up with. I have absolutely no doubt. Now, as one of the posters said, it probably does have 5 or 6 years left of support, and in that time they are probably going to do updates here and there to the story. I think the Heihachi return is a positive thing. I think there's a lot of creative things that they can do, but you guys let me know what you think in the comment section below. Where would you like to see the story go, and do you believe that Enrico was onto something here with a timeline reset? I'll catch you guys very soon. Take care and peace.